welcome to another episode of the Council of the First Ones. I'm Kelly. Joining me today is Shawn and Dave. How are you two boys doing?
Pretty good. Can't complain. Thanks for having me again.
There are never enough toys in the world to satiate my hunger for them.
Look,
you sound like Unicron.
That's right.
We're finally coming down off our con high. PowerCon has finally passed. We did get a few little tiny reveals. I don't know. Did you guys see those NECA masks that were revealed?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, those are beautiful.
And the pre-order is up for Skeletor and Beastman already.
Oh, really? Oh.
They went up on the first day of PowerCon. There was a limit of 500 pieces. I don't know if they've sold out yet, but I am so glad that we can actually become our favorite villain.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
For Halloween.
Can you imagine if they would have had those when we were kids instead of the Ben Cooper get-ups that we had back in the Halloween?
You mean those solid plastic masks that you had to cover the eyes a little bit longer and the mouth a little bit so people could hear you?
Exactly. Yeah. It's like
the
picture that. I like it's you would literally become the action figure because those masks are. It's like, here's the action figure, come to life, but now you can wear it. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Especially if you have the Skeletor hoodie already.
Yeah. then you're really set.
Your costume's already done.
Yep.
Go to Factory Entertainment, get your sword there.
Mm-hmm.
You're ready to go.
Don't give me ideas. Halloween's around the corner.
Go to your local Lover's store to get the whip for Beastman. And yeah.
No handcuffs were hurt recording this episode. Or used, by the way. Yeah. I'm actually shocked you're the one that went there. Usually I'm the one in the gutter.
No, the scary thing is you're giving me ideas, though.
Oh, no. We got to change topics quick.
How about that local sports team?
There you go. Sports.
Football, baseball, awesome.
But we also we got some looks at the FOMU Wave 1, which is, unfortunately, today's the last day for the pre-orders. But that dragon, OMG.
Yeah, Legends of Dragonore. I thought it was two figures when they showed it off at a PowerCon, but no, it's the same figure.
It's the same figure.
Yeah, you're able to just kind of adjust the limbs, and I assume there are swappable limbs to make it so that he's a mount or a figure. Somebody said that, yeah, all the parts are swappable, which makes sense. That's what you can do with that toy line, just like Origins in the very same manner, right?
Mm-hmm.
But somebody said, yeah, you can put the armor on Barbaro, and I thought, wait, that dragon's that's a pretty upscale dragon compared to the regular figures. I don't know that the armor and other parts would necessarily work with that, but yeah, beautiful figure.
But that line is gorgeous. Those who got in on it, congratulations. I'm sure we're going to be seeing other places where we can get it, but probably at a higher price if you didn't get the pre-order.
Yeah, you can still order it. I know on bigbadtoystore.com. There might be one or two other places to pre-order. I know they had a website up for people in Europe to help with the shipping. But you can find that information and more on the Legends of Dragonore fans group on Facebook.
I got to give them props. The thing that like thinking about Masters, the there was always that we typically had the figures, and then we had like Battle Cat, Panther, but there wasn't a lot of beasts in the line. I mean, we got it with classics with Shadow Beasts and Gygor and things like that. But I love that they're already doing that in this toy line, because it's really showing like these are things that as kids we might have already been like, well, why couldn't they have done that? Or we didn't even think of that. Now that we're seeing it, we're like, holy crap, that should have been done. That's amazing. This is great. We can get it like this at least. So huge kudos to the creativity there, because when I saw the dragon, I was just like, that's brilliant. Like that's definitely it's making it their own, no matter what people saw with the figures, and they're like, oh, it's like a nod at Masters. That for me was like, that's them, that's their mark on it now. That's their whole toy line because of that figure. So
yes,
I'm still holding out for a Surf's Up Barbaro variant or something.
To go with Michelangelo, Surfer Michelangelo.
Yeah. I can't wait for to see what else they have to show us the next wave. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you figure that Dragon was the first little peek at Wave 2, so hopefully they'll continue. Dragons were missing from the OG Masters line. I mean, it took classics before we got 2 dragons.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's interesting that there was a vintage Masters of the Universe coloring book, and on the cover there's this beautiful colored illustration of He-Man fighting a big dragon. And that's like one of my favorite pieces of art ever. Yeah, so definitely.
I agree, because like with the mini comics, even the first wave of mini comics, the Alcala Donald Glut ones, you had He-Man on the cover in the ocean fighting that like octopus slash whatever that was, that creature from that merman had come after him and to stop him in the one scene. And even as a kid, I was kind of like, I kind of want to recreate that cover when I play, and I can't because I don't have that. And yeah, so
yeah, even the Filmation, we had dragons and different mythical beasts, but not in the toy line.
Yeah. No,
and
I like that. That's
missing.
Exactly, and I love that that's happening with these lines. I love the classics did some of that. Who knows? Maybe Origins will even go that route at some point with pulling in some things with some of the creature that you see. I know they were working on that. They have the little, didn't they have the like little ones for the Battle Cat He-Man one that they did? They were like,
the little mini dragons.
Yeah, the little mini dragons and stuff. So hopefully, around the corner they will do something along those lines as well, because that line does work nicely. That they won't be too expensive, but they'll still be fun to add to the collection.
But yeah, I would love to see more of that stuff, and I'd also like to see them give us more just little things like things we can use to decorate Castle Grayskull with, or fun things from the Filmation story, or just some extra packed in accessory here and there.
Yeah, I mean, I liked how they did that the Castle Grayskull accessory set with the Spirit of Grayskull. I mean, that for me, that was like, you're getting me right where I live, because you're doing old school the way that I loved doing it. And they had I mean, it works. And it's like, I love the figures I had as a kid, but man, if they would have had Beast, I would have been crazy. I would, that's the one line where it's like, it does kind of blow my mind that they never really went there other than like Battle Cat Panther, really. So,
right.
Yeah. It's great to see other people seeing that niche that never was filled, and now they're going in there with it, and it's great.
I am hoping that we'll see soon, like Legends of Dragonore, or some kind of storyline, like a comic book, mini comic, something, Yeah. I love their theme song. They even made a theme song. I mean, there's some pretty cool stuff that they came out with.
Well, we're gonna have to stay tuned and see what they're putting on social media to help promote the brand. I mean, we're more than welcome to promote it with them because they've already
Absolutely.
got us.
Right. You'll see. I'm sure you've seen lots of ads for that on all of the adultcollector.org groups on Facebook.
I know. I know. I've been putting them on our Facebook page, Council of the First Ones. So
Awesome. There you go. Yeah, any support we can give them. They absolutely deserve the credit and the support. And I also want to extend my thanks to everybody who is supporting this toy line. Yeah.
but also that came out from PowerCon, well, sort of from PowerCon because it was posted on Pixel Dan's page and then confirmed during PowerCon by Cornboy. We have confirmed 2 Origin figures that were done by the 4 Horsemen that are being released. That have, I believe, are hitting retail or have hit retail. I can't remember. But Leech and Mantenna were designed by the 4 Horsemen in the Origins line.
No wonder they look so amazing.
I mean, I'm already hunting them down because I believe Mantenna is out already. And I want to say Leech too, but I'm not sure on him.
They are. Yeah, I grabbed a couple sets of them. I'm sorry, I didn't know you were still looking. Otherwise, I would have sent you the extra set. Local friend already grabbed that for me. But
That's
they're
okay.
beautiful. They're beautiful figures. I'd say Leech has been very hard to stand up because the bottom of the feet are actual suckers instead of kind of the fake suckers that you see with the classics action
So
figure.
they
So
said they
very
were modern doing the classic one, which was the Suckers.
right,
Because I
right,
did
and
have
that's
the original Leech.
yeah, and that's fine. It's just again hard to stand them up. Um, I'll have to find a figure stand or something for him. And then Montana, beautifully done. I love what they did with the eyes. Uh, just a very, very nicely put together figure. The action feature it just makes a lot of sense how they did it, and yeah, I love it.
I mean, I'm sorry, they should have been part of the Origins line since the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Uh, I mean, I bet they worked on the new versions of the 2000X and the Snake Man, He-Man that are coming out that we saw at San Diego, because that definitely screams their style. I mean, anything 2000X is them because they were the ones that helped create that 2000X look.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that the Snake Armor He-Man figure, one of my top favorite figures from the classics toy line. And yeah, I cannot wait to get my hands on them. And I really hope that they involve Four Horsemen a lot more in the Origins toy line moving forward. Yeah.
Yeah, same. I was I've said it recently to a friend. I was like, if you would have told me that I would see a Snake Armor He-Man come out in this line, I would have said you were crazy. And here I am looking at it at San Diego Comic Con, the photos, and I couldn't get over it. So I mean,
Yeah, I didn't expect to see it so soon.
Yeah.
well, the beauty of Origins is you never know what they're going to give you. It is the Forrest Gump mantra with that line because nobody figured Eternia would have been on the here's Eternia and here's Snake Arbor He-Man and it's just like, but what about Snake Mountain? Oh, we'll get there. But it's all these other
I'd
things.
say I'd say Snake Mountain will be retail. Remember, Eternia is going to be a pre-order, and they
Yeah,
haven't
but
announced how they're going to do that.
it's
I'd say
it,
that's coming in October.
but it's still interesting that they went there over Snake Mountain first. You would have figured they would reveal Snake Mountain
For
and
sure.
then maybe a year or so later, because like Eternia, that's like the biggest play set and the last play set basically.
It was the last
So
place that, but not many Eternias were sold in the U.S. Most of them went overseas because the line was already dying out.
yeah,
And in the late 80s, when that came out, it was at the end of the big play sets. And when
yep,
I say big, I mean you had the U.S. flag that was over 7 feet long. You had Barbie's Dream Mansion that was 4 feet tall and 5 feet long.
I,
So you had all these huge play sets that these kids these days have no clue about.
yeah, that's. I mean, my daughter has Barbie's dream house in our living room still from like 2 or 3 Christmases ago, and she still uses that. But I always put my classics Castle Grayskull next to it, and I'm like, how the heck is Barbie have a bigger place than He-Man? This is ridiculous. But
And that's still smaller than the 80s version because they even said the mansion was like the largest they ever did. And I turned that into my Castle Grayskull when I painted it green.
But
Nice.
the thing that got me, like I when I was a kid, when I got to the end of the line, I got a few of the last characters. Like I had King Randor, I had Extendar, Rio Blast, some of those guys, but I didn't get and Clamp Champ. I didn't have like Ninja or Scareglow. And I remember because I was dying off from actually like Masters because some of the stuff wasn't old school. I always felt like there was technology more involved. And I remember when I was a kid, I was at a Kmart and I saw it on the shelf. I was standing right there and looking at it, and I was looking at the box art, and I just kind of scratched my head and I'm like, I felt kind of like that was a jip to call it Eternia because I'm like, well, the planet's Eternia. Why is this the only thing they're saying is Eternia now? I got like that whole thing completely messed me up. And I remember walking away from it going, no, you're not telling me how big Eternia is, Mattel. No, I'm going to think Eternia is the planet. And I got Grayskull. I'm happy. And I walked away. Little did I know how much that thing would go for when I hit my 30s, and I could have probably
Right.
made, at least a couple mortgage payments on it in the box. But yeah, the thing that's cool is it's great that they have that for people who never got it and have always wanted that, but couldn't either. They didn't or couldn't want to pay the prices that it goes for, and then on top of that, getting it complete.
Yeah.
So the fact that yes, it will be crowdfunded, but that's still something that as a fan, if that's something that is a missing piece in that collection, hey, that's awesome. They're doing it, like I give complete props to them because that is a fan. I'd say at this point, it is a fan wanted and a fan. Like if you gave a vote, Eternia would probably be top 2 of
Yeah.
things that they'd want to see in Origins. I that would be my guess at least.
Yeah,
So
And
and
if
it's
it
the
and
Grail.
if it's big
yeah.
enough, and from what I heard, it's going to be big enough that it will be compatible or somewhat compatible with classics,
Mhm.
which then makes sense because if you have the classics, means you already have Grayskull. You did shell out the money for Snake Mountain. Hey,
Mhm.
why not finish your house with Eternia and take out another mortgage because you're going to need a new place to live?
Well, that's the
Yeah.
thing. Where's your bathroom? Take a right at the Snake Tower, and you go down this hall, and there's take the tram. By the way, you'll get there faster.
Right,
I
right.
mean, it's again, like for the completists, that's awesome at least. And then on top of that, hopefully the pieces for it are gonna be a little more longer lasting because I know the tram tracks are one of those things where it's hard to find those in good condition if you're finding one that's in pieces or whatever. So I mean,
That
heck, save
that's why
yourself the headache.
that's why Pixel Dan put out the video of Val moving Eternia fully assembled with the tram,
Hmm.
figuring no one would believe that he could pick it all up without breaking that tram.
Hmm.
Awesome.
Ah,
But yeah, it's definitely. I was going to say it's definitely a grail for many collectors, and yes, it will be way too big for some people. But yeah, it's like I've got to have it. It's like I don't know where I'm gonna. I have no idea where I'm gonna put it, but I gotta have it. But then at the same time, like I've got the classics Castle Grayskull playset. I bought the classics Snake Mountain playset when it was on pre-order, and I had it like at my folks' place for years, and finally I just decided to sell it. Like I just I don't have the room. I don't know when I'm gonna have the room for it, and honestly, I can't these days. I can't justify having opening this gigantic toy when realistically it should be sold for like what was it, $1,200-$1,300. Yeah, no place for it, which was totally heartbreaking. So I don't know. Thinking about Eternia now, I don't know.
It's it's this whole thing, like collecting wise. I'm going through a bit of that myself right now, just in a quick tangent. Like there is this feeling for me right now of, number one, financially, there's reasons right now, like my wife is changing careers, so we have a one income right now, so I'm not getting anything. I'm just looking at, I'm that kid looking through the window at Thanksgiving dinner of everybody else having fun, and I'm like, I'm not really like trying to make people feel bad about it. I'm just like, good for you, you get this, there's all these great things coming out. And then, I'm looking at things, and it's really making me dig deep and go, what things that are coming out are things that make your heart literally start beating fast when you see it, and you're like, this is making me feel like a kid again, and it would be awesome to have it, versus completing something. Like if you're completing, sometimes you're getting stressed, sometimes I can't get Wondar, I can't get Coldar, whatever, and then you're like pissed because you can't complete that. And I've never been that guy. But there is this feeling now of, okay, what matters and what makes it feel like this needs to be in the collection, versus this is just something that is offered and it needs to go in because that's what I collect. And
Right.
it's a crazy time. So much stuff coming out for every brand that we grew up with. It's so crazy.
Oh, I know.
It
Where
is.
I've become a cherry picker. I know, yeah, with the Origins and Masterverse, I've been cherry picking. I've been more of the completist with the Mega Set, waiting for my Snake Mountain to come in and my San Diego Comic Con exclusive to come in.
Yeah.
Well, see, are you cherry picking because there are so many different He-Man things to buy, or is it because of all the other toy lines out there?
Well, basically running out of room.
Well, that too, yeah. Because for me, I'm much more into Ninja Turtles now, and Transformers, and Superpowers, and you know, uh, and the new WWE Superstars figures. And it's looking at that, how much money and space I have, it's like, well, do I, you know, am I? I'm definitely not going to be buying any more Masterverse. I'm going to sell those off. Eternia minis, goodbye, and et cetera, et cetera.
Well,
So
I
that
think they discontinued the minis because they didn't even show them off at San Diego Comic Con.
I'm sure I'm pretty sure that we won't be seeing any more of those.
The thing for me at this point is, like, the game changer for me was the Mondo Deluxe He-Man. And that was something where when I saw that, it was exactly what I was waiting for Mondo to do, because I didn't like that at first He-Man. I really wanted there to be more of like a traditional, but you could do some details to make it a little more, Mondo, but still sticking within a certain design aesthetic. And
Right.
with Emiliano's help on that one, especially, I feel like they knocked that thing out of the park so much that Mars found the ball finally. Like that thing was one of the most gorgeous things I've seen in quite a long time. And I'm not saying I'm all in on Mondo now going forward, but there is this feeling of that line where it's capturing something that is so vital to me about why I want to have something on my shelf, versus Like, okay, you have the toy lines and you can have Origins and they're $10 a pop or whatever. You can have Masterverse at 20 or 22 or whatever. And those are fine. I'm not saying to anybody that they're wrong for wanting them. I love that they're out there for people to either have the nostalgia of their childhood or to fill in gaps where maybe classics couldn't, or they weren't into classics and this is their chance to get something kind of like classics. But when I look at the Mondo stuff, I'm just like, I have the He-Man, thankfully. That will be coming in. And then with the Battle Cat one now, and then knowing that there's a deluxe Skeletor coming out next year, possibly, and the Panther possibility, I'm like, if I could get those would be the perfect representations of the alpha and omega of that line for me. You got He-Man, you got Skeletor, and so I'm the same way. Where it's like my attention is shifted. It's like I still want to get some Mythic Legions things here and there, but I'm not able to do all-ins because of my financial situation. Like I said, with the wife changing jobs, but it's like.
Sure.
Okay, other than that, what speaks to me that I have to do it? Like, I will move mountains to make me get this versus going into Walmart and buying something just because it's right there on the peg, And
Right.
It is interesting. It's like a mentality of learning that you're relearning what is important, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I went through an exercise where, I was like dog sitting last week, and so I had access to a bunch of my old toys, and I had to go through and think like, should I keep all my vintage He-Man? Should I keep all my classics He-Man? Should I, and other toy lines as well? It's like, what's true? What do I keep? What's truly a toy line or which toys do I want to have for the rest of my life, and which can I sacrifice and sell?
I think it's funny. We're at the same level or at the same stage, because there's certain things on my shelves. Like I have those NECA, I guess how big are they? They're over a foot tall. The movie Ninja Turtles that came out before they made the 6-inch versions. And I bought 3 of those without the wife knowing, and she saw them, and she got me Raphael to complete the set of the 4 of them. And that was my Christmas present a couple years ago. And like, she'll come down into the basement where all the stuff is, and to this day she'll look at those and go, "You are not selling them ever." And I'm like, darn right, because those speak to me on a level that no other toys speak to me, because they're representing something that really was amazing about my childhood when I saw that movie in the theater, and I couldn't get over how cool it was. Same with some classics, but it is. We could almost do a whole episode on what matters and just go into that, because I'm having fun now. I'm looking through my classics on the shelf going, there's still some that I could probably whittle down if I wanted to, but yeah, that's a whole nother topic. Sorry. We have a lot more for the listeners.
Right. If you want to hear us go about how we whittled down our collections and our rules, let us know in the comments section, or post it on our Facebook page.
Yeah, and then we'll probably give some people heart attacks over the stuff we're willing to get rid of, and they're like, "You even own that? What the heck? Like, why would you get rid of it?"
That'd be a fun question for the Facebook groups, is what are your rules as a collector,
I agree. That would be fun to hear.
Because that's an important part.
And how have your rules changed over the years, too?
Right. Yeah.
Because I know my rules have changed, and I know I'm going to probably be going in to see what toys I'm going to get rid of, because I have lines that I don't collect anymore. And some of them are complete lines that I might be putting up on eBay. Because I have the classic Voltron that Mattel put out, all the figures.
Nice.
Including the subscription-only Sven. And I believe I think all the action figures are still mint in box. I only took the Lions out because they were shipped separately, because I wanted to build Voltron.
Well, yeah, you got to.
Well, figuring it's over 3 feet tall.
See, when you go to purge your collection like that, you can sell off a whole bunch of toys. One thing you have to keep in mind is the rules have changed in terms of taxes. So now, if you go, let's say to eBay, and you do like at least $600 in sales, which is really nothing for purging toy collections, then PayPal will automatically send I forget what is like 1099 or whatever.
Yeah.
A form. It basically they'll alert the IRS and say, "Oh, this guy owes you taxes for the eBay sales." And then it gets into a whole spiral of now you're going to be a business, and we've got our eyes on you. And
Yeah.
It might be even worth getting a table at a toy show.
Possibly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Possibly. So, just a word of warning. Yeah.
Those who are willing to sell, just spread them out.
Mm-hmm.
Keep track.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And then what was the other part? Anyway, I can go on about that topic.
If you want more information about those tips, let us know in our comments.
Yeah.
We're
Topic.
full of information. Yeah.
Go to adultcollector.taxhelp.org.
That's your next group. That's your next
group.
group.
Yeah. Toy taxes.
Toy
or
taxes.
whatever.
But we do have a little more good news. Before we get to the third season, first we have to say a happy anniversary to 2000X. 20 years ago this week, they came out.
Woohoo! My favorite. Still love
that.
And good friend of the channel, Yuka, his book is shipping. I am a proud owner of 2 copies.
Nice.
And probably in October, we will be having some kind of giveaway. I haven't figured out everything yet because I do have an extra power sword, the 1/6 to commemorate He-Man's 40th anniversary. So come October, there will be some giveaways with the Council of the First One, and we haven't done it in a long time. And if your name is Crespo, you're not going to be allowed to participate. I'm sorry, Crespo, but you won too many things when we were giving away stuff.
Boy, I've got to check in. I could have sworn I supported Yuka with his book. I've got to check and see if I'm going to get one or not. That's very exciting.
Yeah, he emailed me.
Yuka's been sharing. Sorry?
Yeah, Yuka normally emails you or PMs you right before he drops it off at the mailbox. Because he's been signing them, and it's taken him a while.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Because he was very surprised that I received mine so fast. I'm like, hey, I'm only on the other side of the lake. It's not going cross country.
Well, yeah, I'm going to have to look into that. And Yuka has been sharing all kinds of great insights about the 2000X MYP cartoon series. And, yeah, it's been a lot of fun reading those. So, yeah.
Yeah, his Attorney and Fact Files channel and stuff as well. He's been updating those, and he's been doing the posts almost daily leading up to the anniversary this past week, which was really cool.
Well, he is the walking Wikipedia for 2000X. James is for Filmation.
Yep.
Yuka's 2000X.
That's right.
And little plug for James's new YouTube channel, which is coming out on September 1st, Serial Geek TV.
Yeah.
And a happy birthday to him because today is also his birthday.
Yeah, that's true. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, James. Yep.
But while we're on the thing with cartoons, season 3 dropped this week.
Woohoo!
And I will say, out of the 3 seasons, I think this is the best. It was more, a lot of Easter eggs were given towards the fans, us older fans, I should say. Starting off right in episode 1 with Alan Oppenheimer playing King Grayskull.
That's
Yeah,
incredible.
that was cool that they brought him in. So he's now part of this one and Revelation and Filmation. So
Well, when you think He-Man, a lot of us think Alan Oppenheimer with the Skeletor. He's our version of Peter Cullen,
yeah,
who's OP for the Transformers. It was just natural that he would get King Grayskull.
yeah.
Keeping it in the family. He was Keldor. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
Skeletor. Now
Mm-hmm.
he's playing King Grayskull. And if you listen in episode, I want to say 5 or 6, King Grayskull actually sounds like the old OG Skeletor for a few lines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was amused by that since it's like obviously he's older. He's been saying how long he can't do the voice like he used to, but when you hear that, it still brings a smile to your face. To him, like
Yep.
he still got it. He still got it. He can't.
It's still
It's his.
hidden.
Yeah, he's underselling himself when he says he can't do it because it's still there. So
But I am so pleased that they included him. I mean, that brings just a great joy that, yes, we're still remembering our past. And throughout the season, we had little tributes to the past.
hmm yeah,
I'm
I go ahead.
We even had a 2000X with them raising the Mystic Wall.
Yeah, that's true. Because I kept going, what 2000? That makes sense. Yeah, that I did not think of that as 2000X, but yeah, they did do that part, and that was really cool because of what they had to do it for and everything. And um, this season, I gotta say, I know there were people that didn't like the He-Man Skeletor dancing episode last season. There were people that had problems with the birthday party episode. This season, it did not let up. This season, it
No,
was
it
just they just started and they ran with it, and they had so many things left over from season 2 that within 8 episodes, I felt like they still could have even had an episode or two in there, and I think it still would have been a hell of a ride to keep going. They only did one episode this season where it was kind of almost like they just took a left turn really quick, and it was one where it focused on Orko.
Yeah,
And
that was the only one that I didn't like. And the voice actor who's playing Orko the Great, I expected more because I know what he could have done.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, that doesn't seem right how you portrayed Orko the Great.
well, they got Wallace Shawn from Princess Bride and
Right.
many other things, but Princess Bride, inconceivable. He was Orko, but yeah, he downplayed it. He made Orko sound kind of very sullen and very. He sounded older. I mean, there's definitely this like older kind of like a worn out kind of almost like Revelation did the depressed version of it, and this one it just sounded like
Yeah.
he was ancient, but he still looked like himself, at least in this version. And I didn't mind it. Like when I found out he was going to be Orko, I'm like, that actually works, and I would have never thought of putting him in there. But the way they played him, he was not over the top and energetic Orko. He was more of an introspective, and he admitted like he's like I messed stuff up. What are they going to think of me when they find out that I actually took him to the wrong dimension and said that's neutral? And I kind of dug that. It's the whole kids seeing this and going, you might have made a mistake, but if you just go to somebody and admit that you made a mistake, maybe they can help you solve that problem, and
Right.
through the new Orc O, which the robot one, and him having that interplay with that situation, I really I appreciated that, and it was at least fun to see that. But then there's like things that are lining up in here where it's like there is confusion on my part, but at the same time I'm like, but this is its own thing, and maybe that's okay for that because Orko the Great being in there, and then they said Tila, who up until this season has just been Tila, now they're calling her Tila Na, and I'm like, oh, so that's really sorceress for like He-Man sorceress. So what? There's gonna be another Tila sometime, maybe. Like maybe her daughter then should. And I'm like a little lost on how that works, and it's messing with my head. But at the same time, I'm like, but this is CGI. And it's kind of like all bets are off.
But
They're doing
well,
their own thing, you
I
know?
think when they brought that up, it was giving her the origin
Yeah.
where really, yeah, the old sorceress was her mom still. Now she's finding
Huh.
out her last name is Na
Yeah.
because she grew up as an orphan.
I still
So
have a
I can accept
theory
that.
on that. Yeah, I still have a theory on how they did that though, because I feel like they went with a shortened version of the clone idea from the mini comics with her. Because Keldor kills, well, he wounds her mortally, and we found that out previously, I think last season or the season before that, when they
Right.
play the holograms and they see Adam got kidnapped and taken there to Grayskull by Keldor and everything.
And that it
And
was Tila's magic that helped save her and
yeah,
transported her for this season.
yeah, and then on top of that, then she just shows up with the Zor spirit energy form, just landing her in the sewers with Manny faces. And I'm like, I bet that's kind of what they did. It's like she took her life essence and got it out of herself because she knew she would die, but she knew she couldn't die. So then it's like she cloned herself and sent her out into the. That's my take. I don't know if that's 100% accurate or not, but I do like. Then Filmation has its own take, and then even 2000X has its own take because Fisto supposedly was supposed to be her father in that, compared to
Right.
Duncan being her adoptive father in Filmation, and obviously he was adopted in 2000X. But now we got the mini comics one that we never had, just like we had the mini comics one for Adam, where he's from the Jungle Tribe in this. So I'm like, I kind of like that they're referencing and nodding at this, but they're not doing it where it's just legit verbatim. Here's Alfredo Alcala's take on it. The way they did it, it's an updated version.
It's a merge of the two.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a huge part of why I love this show so much for that fact. It's I don't know what to expect out of it. And then when they go where they go with it, I'm like, damn, like you got me on the like okay, one of the moments that got me, spoilers for this one, so whoever doesn't want to hear it, please don't listen if you don't want to. But in the last two episodes, would they have basically God Skeletor? He-Man gives up the power sword even, and Skeletor now is this like demon god in space, which was freaking great. And I love that he even puts the skull of Castle Grayskull on his face. And I'm like,
Yep.
whoa, like they went there. Because I love that that was always the thing.
It
Of, well,
it
shouldn't that be Skeletor's home? You know?
it pushed it further than Revelations did when they did God Skeletor.
Oh, they this
They
thing,
took
it
it to
was.
another level.
Oh,
Oh.
like when you have a situation where your villain is literally in the cosmos recreating planets around himself in his own image, and he takes the castle and wears it as his mask because he's that powerful. It's like, okay, like even I going into the to the last episode of the season, I'm like, how are they gonna do this? And I'm like, I
Yeah, yeah.
gotta find out. This is so insane.
Wow.
And I mean, it's full of those moments, which and I love that we have the whole Ram Man slash Rampage He-Man. They're still duking that battle out through the season, him trying to get her back because that's his, friend slash adoptive sister. And you have, Duncan, discovering his strength as a builder this time, not just a fixer. Tila, like getting to know her origin in this, which was great. And that was one of those moments where I'm like, that was like, if you saw Moana, that was like the scene in Moana where all the ghost ships go by her ship in the middle of the night, and she does the "I Am Moana" song, and I'm like bawling my eyes out every time my daughter
Yeah.
watches it, and I'm like watching this and going like, "Tila, go get him, Tila," you know. it was it was knocking it out of the park for me on a lot of levels, and like I
Nice.
said, it did not let up this season. They did not give it a chance.
All the way up to the last few minutes, even changing Evelyn's father.
Yeah, I'll let you take that. I'm not going to say it.
That
Orko.
well, well, it was sort of given away at San Diego Comic-Con when they showed the figure, and we
Well,
only get it for less than 10 seconds.
they didn't give that story point away of what you're talking about, but they did give away that there was possibly this character going to be on his way in, at least.
Yeah.
Gusto.
So hopefully there will be a fourth season, because we need to find out what's going on, because that definitely changed Motu lore.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And why Evelyn's psychic power was always a bat.
Yeah, and honestly, like I am a fan of any time that they find a way to get the toys into the show, but not turn it into a cash grab. And when they did the Talon Fighter move in this one, I just sat there and I was just like grinning from ear to ear because I'm like thinking about it, going that moment makes the most sense, and I didn't even see it coming from. Of course, Man at Arms is going to team up with Tila, and they do that combo move, and they make the freaking Talon Fighter out of the power of Grayskull. Why not? That's freaking great. So I absolutely love that. I mean, man, I'm trying to remember all of it, and it's like there's it. Like I said, it really goes by at a clip this season.
Well, what
But
I really liked was the design of Merman. It actually gave me vibes of Mondo.
yeah, and Tweeterhead too.
Yes.
Their new statues. And number one, I love that George Takei was Merman. I never would have thought that voice would have worked, and it does. I like that so much better than
Yep.
Kevin Conroy in
And then at the
Revelation.
very end with his "oh my" before he
Yeah.
died.
They went there, and that was again, Revelation kept doing that kind of stuff, and it made me roll my eyes half the time. Like you have Alicia Silverstone doing the as if and all that,
Yep.
but when
But
you have Merman seeing something about to fall on him, and he just looks at, oh my, boom, you're like, okay, you won me over. I
that's
love
where,
Nice.
that.
I mean, that was like two of my favorite episodes
Yeah.
with him in it. I didn't think it was going to work out first, but I'm like, go for it.
Well, he's a great case. Merman is a great case in point of this show being something where you don't know what to expect, and I love that about it because I absolutely love that when he showed up, he was on his own side. He wasn't with Skeletor. He was for Grayskull, and I'm like, huh? Like this is different. And then when he goes into the whole thing about the Mer people and how Grayskull brought them power and he brought them security, I'm like, holy crap! This is stuff that I was saying would be really cool if they had Grayskull being a great uniter of Eternia before the Horde and all that. And now it's like I feel
And
like
then,
they have these little moments like that. I'm like, that's great. That's great that they're going to these things and giving the history like that.
and how the original sorceress was the one that ended up killing him because he embraced both the havoc and the power
Yeah.
at the same
And
time.
and I
And I'm
like,
glad they made Adam have to struggle with that too, because that
yes,
also showed a
yes.
lot of growth and
I
how
I
it's changed.
I did like that. The only thing was it reminded me, like I kind of wanted, like when they went there, I'm like, oh, that's gonna be like almost have an anti-Eternia He-Man showing up here. I know it's not completely that, but the Havoc being what it is, and when you see like Kraz like embracing it and turning the way she did. I'm like, oh, this ain't good. But then when he got it, he was basically like an irresponsible surfer dude. And I was like, that's not
Eh.
quite the way I was expecting him to be. I thought he was going to be the one where everybody was like, it would have been like Savage He-Man in Revelation when Adam just brings down the power without using this. So I thought it was going to turn into that, and all the masters are going to be like, oh my god, and they kind of went there because they did that whole part where they're holding him down, like using everything they can, which I like that part. But yeah, it was kind of weird where he's just like jumping around and he's like, I don't want to do it. And he just walks on and stuff. And I'm like,
But
I kind of
that's
wanted
the
to see him punch people.
but see, that's the typical teen.
It
They think they
is.
know
Yeah.
everything. And actually, I expected something like that where, yeah, I've got all this power. I can do what I want. You don't need to tell me what I can and can't do. And I could see that relating to the kids today a lot more than what Savage He-Man was from Revelations.
Sure. And thinking about it, Havoc basically is the selfish power. And then the power of Grayskull is the selfless power because he's always giving that power away. Even in this season, he gives it away again in a way where I'm curious what'll happen in season 3 with that.
You mean
But
season 4?
or season 4, sorry, yeah, season 4, because when they leave on that note where he's like, it should be shared and we should all have. I'm like, oh, so that might lead to maybe other masters showing up after that and they have something to offer as well, or if they're going to keep it to that 5 that they have right now. But yeah, it makes sense because it's more about the selfishness of it versus being angry and being evil, and
Right.
you turn it evil based on your selfishness. So I could see why you say that, and I agree with it now. But at the time, I was just like, I wanted to see him be a nightmare and have them go, now what are we gonna do?
Well, it sounds like he can
If
just
he
power.
kept for a little longer, then we would have seen that. Probably seen him punch his father in the face.
Well, it works because he can basically power up anybody who's around him. So, in one season, he can have these supporting action figures around him and power them up. And then the next season, oh, you got a whole new wave of toys. I mean, characters to power up. Totally works.
Well, there was the one other thing I liked is when and what's funny is they did what Revelation did with he doesn't have the power sword, but he turns into He-Man in this one. Because that's the whole thing about like Skeletor has the sword at that point. And he's like the demon god in space, Skeletor recreating everything. And I liked how even he changed. But when he changed, if you look at his costume, it's the same thing as Teela's wings, where the universe is coming through him now. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Are they going to have that
Wow.
be his default? And it's showing that he's embraced his destiny, and that's like him as the most powered version, maybe. Then, there was something else now, and I can't remember. But basically, yeah, I was very impressed with this. Randor. That was the other thing I was going to bring real quick. Is I liked that Randor had to go with them through all of this, and they gave him such a good role as anytime He-Man would have something where he's like, well, I'm just going to get the Havoc and we're going to do what Grayskull did. And he's that, no, we'll find another way. And I love that through that, it was like he got to be dad finally. He got to be the one to be the Jiminy Cricket,
the father figure.
the father figure, and also his conscience, because at that point, there's moments where you can tell they're just like, I just want to finish this fight. Like, I just want to get my friend back. I just need to stop Skeletor. I'll do whatever I can. And I love that his father's like, think this through first, and even him in battles, like they had him. It was great. They had father and son and Battle Cat in scenes fighting. I'm like, this is stuff that it's like 2000X went there somewhat. And I appreciate that this show really did dig in with Randor once he accepted that Adam was He-Man and was using the power for good. It's like he is a nice addition to that team dynamic, being like the sage, wise one, just like Battle Cat, but he's also jumping into the battles with them. And I did like when he's piloting the talent fighter. He's like, "This is the first time I've flown anywhere." You know, like he's never driven himself anywhere and all this stuff.
Well, I also liked how they changed Randor because going both Filmation and 2000X, Randor pretty much put down at him. Saw them as lazy, not working up to the potential.
Yeah.
And here it was more of being the guide.
Mm-hmm. And that worked for me as him being the king, because there was that feeling of he doesn't look at his son as being a threat, and he's not afraid of his son, even though his son's wielding some of the most powerful power there is, basically. But he's always willing to step up to his own son and tell him, this is why you shouldn't do this. And it actually, I love that dynamic that they made on this show, and it brings more heart. And it's already full of heart, in my opinion, anyway. You have the He-Man Kraz relationship, He-Man Ram Mam. I still have trouble with that one. And even like Teela with the Eldris, and Man at Arms dealing with his stuff, Cringer dealing with his dark past because of Beast Man. It's like, man, this is great.
Yep.
But I agree. This is probably the best one out of the seasons, in my opinion. I do like season 1 quite a lot too, because I was completely blown away by what this show was going to be. But season 3 delivered on everything season 1 and 2 built up.
And I loved how they did keep a little bit of Orko's messed up magic and a little bit of a nod to Revelations.
Yeah.
How they felt a little two-dimensional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that part, when they went there, I did chuckle to myself, because I did not expect to see the Revelations characters showing up in that sequence.
No.
Screenshot. That's awesome.
Yeah, that screenshot has been used quite a lot in the last 24 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should definitely watch that series. I've watched just bits and pieces, and yeah, I'll just sit down and just get through it, enjoy it.
I mean, I would just sit down, do it straight through, at least season 3. It's like a 3-hour film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
it's one big roller coaster ride.
I can't think of much that I was like rolling my eyes over or anything. Like I said, the Orko episode is really the only sidestep, and it's a little more comedic just because it's Orko, but it did not go to the comedic lengths of the He-Man Skeletor dancing last season, or the birthday party for Skeletor one, which I've actually grown to love. The birthday party one, that one I ended up going back to more than a few times, and I would catch all these little moments in it that made me go like, even though this might not be for everybody, some of these in jokes are freaking great in this episode. But and I get why people don't like it for certain reasons. So it's like with David, I know this is not his cup of tea compared to Revelation or Filmation or 2000X or whatnot. But for me, it's so refreshing to see something done in a way where you can't figure out what will happen next. And when these things happen, like the final few moments of season 3, you're like, holy crap, and even you as a fan, you're like, didn't see that coming. And here's one thing, Kelly, I'll ask you this though. Are you upset that it's been season 1, 2, and 3, and they've had Tuvar and Badra on this series, and we still have yet to get Too Bad?
We should be getting him soon, hopefully.
I think I just got overly excited when they used the names in season 1, because I've been waiting, and every season I'm like, come on, give me Too Bad here.
So it's just a name drop, nothing more, huh?
So far, but I would honestly say they do deliver on that stuff eventually if they've done it. But
I see.
It's also like
that might be something they're planning with season 4.
Maybe, because that's the other thing. I was like, maybe they end up becoming, maybe they're tangled up with what happens at the end of this versus it being the traditional way we know it to be. Because Triclops is not traditional by any means, and that was interesting too. So maybe they'll go a different route with them.
Quite a few things were not traditional. Normal
True.
bad guys were good guys this season.
Web store. That's right. I forgot about web store. I was like, hey, there's web store, and they're not fighting them. Go figure.
Yeah, and figuring we did see Skelegod create a few worlds in his image, I'm wondering if that would tie into something from New Adventures. Because
I
remember, the one planet did look like Skeletor's face.
I was actually thinking that the minute he did it, and but the thing was, he did it so many times that there was a part of me watching that and kind of going, "How many places are going to make the same?" Like they're all the same planet, just it's the same thing over and over and over again. But the first one he did, I'm like, I bet that's going to be something where New Adventures might have a reference at least. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens in the next season. But yeah, yeah, it is worth a shot. Anybody who hasn't given it a shot, for whatever reason, if you just give it the chance, you might be pleasantly surprised that the story is really compelling for what it is. And on top of that, you're not going to guess what happens. That to me is two of the best parts of watching that show. The
Yeah.
freshness.
It I have to
Nice.
admit, it was a total, you did not know what to expect.
Mm-mm. And like you
And
said, the way they resolved the stuff like with Randor and Adam in here, I'm so much more a fan of their dynamic than I've been in any other version of this, because Filmation never went there because of the reset at the beginning of every episode. But 2000X was never given the chance to go there. And then Revelation went there to an extent, but we haven't seen a lot of that because it just ended. So this has had a plenty of time since season one to keep going
yep.
into that relationship and building it and making it stronger. And I have nothing but respect for that, because it is bringing that to the brand as well, which we've never seen.
I mean, yeah, I wonder what happened to Queen Marlena, but it wasn't like pressing. Okay, maybe we'll find out in another season.
I hope so. He brought her up this season too.
Yeah,
He he
like
mentioned her.
it was a name drop, but we didn't get much information.
And same last season, Adam was standing in front of the painting, and he couldn't remember Mother Marlena and all that, and they kind of did that little moment. And I still don't know what that deal is with the pillow in there, because that it could imply Adora is out there
Uh-huh.
too. So we'll see if that pays off later on or not.
All right.
So, I mean, there's a lot that they left open, but they did close a lot of gaps as well, which
Definitely.
I'm glad.
Well, I like all the toys. They look very cool. I don't have room for them in my collection, but yeah, it's nice to see that, like the multiverse figures, where a lot of people are buying them up now that at they were giving a very deep discount at Target for them, which opened up the door for a lot of collectors to that toy line. Now you've got this series, those toys as well. They were discounted, and a lot of people grabbed them up.
See,
They're
I haven't
great.
seen them discounted around me, but they've been selling out very fast. I mean, my neighbor's son just had a birthday party and it was supposed to be a Star Wars theme. Well, all his gifts were He-Man.
I mean,
All
I
CGI, but
I
I was like, okay, I like this kid.
well, I have pretty much the first full wave of them, and then I did manage to get a Tila and Ram Mam and Power Grayskull He-Man and some other ones. And my son does love to play with them. Like they're in the basement, so he doesn't go down there every day. But when we're in the basement, he picks those up and he just loves it. And like he is absolutely a fan of the moments in the show where He-Man's got the sword and he's like, "Masters, all your power on me!" And he wants to like do that moment every freaking time he plays. And I mean, they're durable. They're just fun. They are pretty much like if the vintage line came out again, but they're in the design of the new style. This is how it felt to play with the toys when I was a kid, because I'll play with
Yep.
them with those figures. I'm like, man, it really does feel like being a kid holding this thing and playing with them like this. This is great. So I love them. I can't wait for the Masterverse CGI ones to hit finally, because that He-Man and Skeletor have to go on my shelf. I absolutely love that they went there with that line, and that line in particular, I've been waiting for the articulation. So
Right,
those are
right.
going to look amazing.
And I like that, they're still, those toys are nice enough to where adults can play with them, but they're meant for the kids,
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
much in the same way that the Origins figures are. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, as a certain YouTuber says, anything at retail in the toy aisle has to appeal to the kids and the toy givers. We're only 20% of the market.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Since our last episode, we had 2 Motu Tuesdays. The first one was showing us wave 2 of the little people. If you have wave 1, wave 2 is repaints. We're getting another He-Man, another Skeletor, no changes. Then they repainted He-Man in Faker's colors, and they took Beastman and made him into Mossman. So it's straight repaints. And that will be on Mattel.
Mattel
I,
Creations.
Yeah.
I still want to call it Matty Collector.
I almost did when you were doing that. I was like, wait, Maddie, no, 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 no. Don't say it.
I'm not sure if they're up for sale yet, but it will be $30. And then the second one was this past week. We had an 8-second stop motion animation using the 240th anniversary He-Man and Skeletor figures. Very, very
Well,
quick.
and so my understanding is those may be retail releases rather than the two that were sold as an exclusive set.
Yes, because it doesn't have the furry shorts.
Right.
Well, I should clarify. The flock furry shorts.
That's
Sorry,
No
true.
us
flock. No.
girls turn around and say, we want some furry shorts for our guys, and we know what we want.
No fuzzy G string for He-Man. Got it. Awesome.
the the thing that I absolutely love about having these toy lines out is that the stop motion stuff. Like they did the stop motion one for Origins, where He-Man was fighting all of Skeletor's minions when they were releasing Origins, and now this, and I'm like, I don't need the figures on my shelf, but keep doing those, and I'll watch them all the time. Like
Right.
they are so much
Yeah.
fun to see, just because that articulation is only more than capable of handling that, and that's awesome.
Yeah. Awesome.
And the other Motu Tuesday clip that they dropped was the final teaser trailer for the CGI, which we just got done talking about.
Yeah.
But the other thing I do need to announce, this is going to all our friends who are He-Man.org and have emails courtesy of He-Man.org. Many years ago, one of the fundraisers was you donated, I think it was $10 or $20. You were able to choose a Dominion name of either he-fans.org or she-ravers.org. Unfortunately, Google has changed their agreements. And currently, if you have an email with either one of those domains, as of August 9th, you are not able to access it. the people at heman.org are working with Google trying to resolve it because most of us use it as personal email. So if you use it as your main email address, this is why you're not getting email. But they are working on it right now. And hopefully it will be resolved soon.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. I wonder how many people this affected.
I don't know. And trust me, it was a shocker because I used it as a way for many years for Council of the First Ones. Luckily, I have a backup one through Nerds on the Couch, but
Right.
this was the primary. I'm like, oh, shoot. Or should I say, oh, my.
Oh my. I should have started the episode with that.
Oh my.
Oh my. It's
Hey.
Council of the First Ones.
No, maybe they would be listening to our blooper reels.
Yeah.
It still would have been fun.
But I do encourage people to give us your comments on season 3 of the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, because next episode I'd love to share some of them. We already have a few people sharing their thoughts. I'm sure there will be a lot more.
The more the merrier.
Yes, and we need to get a few more oh my's in there.
Definitely.
Now we need the GIF with Merman saying it, not just George.
Yeah, I can't.
Octopus limb coming down on him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I can't wait to see what they do with Revolution or Revolution. Yeah, Revolution.
Well, that's only going to be 5 episodes. They didn't even say when that's going to be dropping yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm down. Powerhouse doing the animation again. Just
Yep.
That's like, yeah, I have to see what they do with it, no matter what.
Yeah, and it'll be curious. I'm curious to see what the lineup will be for voice actors, aside from the
William
one.
Shatner.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Mark Hamill, William Shatner are definite, and I'm guessing Chris Wood will be back.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got to stay tuned. This ride is not over.
Far from it.
Right.
I mean, we're only weeks to He-Man's 40th anniversary.
Yeah, very exciting. I'm hoping we'll hear some good news on Moto Tuesday. Maybe more details on the Eternia playset, or word on what they'll do with Grizzlor. Are they going to give us an open pre-order window? Are they going to stick to their previous guns in terms of giving us a first come first serve?
Yeah, hopefully they resolve that.
Right. Yeah, I hope so.
Because that is an A-list villain for the Horde.
Mm-hmm. We'll see. Cross my fingers and toes.
Yep. I guess until next time, it's time to wish everyone a good journey.
Good journey. Are we doing it like that?
Yes, so.
Doing something different off the cuff. Good journey. That's the end of it. I'm good.
We'll see you next time.
There you go.